Hey, everybody. Thank you for stopping by the Stuff I Heard podcast. My name is Josh Peak, and today happens to be the big tax day, April the 15th of 2020. The weird part about it being tax day is that the taxes aren't really due to the coronavirus. There is a delay until sometime in July. I'm not exactly sure what date, but anyway, we've been seeing on Facebook that a lot of people have been getting their stimulus checks. And I went to Sam's and into Walmart today, and I saw people walking out with TVs. And I thought, really, a TV? With your stimulus check, you decided to go out and buy a TV. That's pretty interesting. I mean, it's weird in the fact that you bought a TV when you probably need groceries or any number of other things, but a TV. So anyway, congrats to all the people out there who are getting their stimulus checks. I still haven't gotten mine. I looked online and it says that apparently if you made a certain amount that you got to wait or you may not get any. I made under that, which is great, I guess. But it also says that if you didn't get direct deposit,
Can you hear
that
me?
you should be getting, hey, you're back. Great. You hear me?
Hey, Jay.
Gregory. I have a special guest today. It's Greg Steele.
Hey, what's up, folks?
Hey, it's Greg.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. I was just talking about the fact that a lot of people got their stimulus checks, and I was not one of them, but I went to Sam's and to Walmart, and I saw people walking out with large screen TVs, and I was like, oh, good for you.
I also did not get my stimulus check. And like I'm one of those people that when you go on the IRS website, they supposedly have this thing where you can track it, and like I read that said a lot of people were getting this "we can't tell you anything" message, and I am a "we can't tell anything" message person.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So but it's all right. I mean, I'm patient. It'll come.
I really feel like this is one of those Drew Carey games where the points don't matter and you really don't get a check.
You think so? I mean, basically, what happened is like Trump took a big, put everyone's name in like this big bingo wheel, right? And they're just spinning it around. And when a name comes out, they're sending a check. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the fact that nobody was getting them for a long time, it really made me feel like, oh, well, I guess that all goes to companies and people aren't getting crap.
Mm.
It really
Yeah.
pissed me off. And then I saw people going, I got my check. I was like, really?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, a bunch of people on Facebook, right? But not me. But that's all right. It'll come.
I got a guy that I met through, weirdly enough, World of Warcraft, who lives in Iowa. And he's a very large black man who is also doing MMA now.
Wow.
He went in the Marine Corps. He got married, has like 9 kids. And all of his kids are involved in wrestling in some sort of mixed martial arts. And he's been posting photos of black dudes wearing the MAGA hats going, okay, I'm in now.
Is his like MMA name like Mr. Potent?
I don't know what his name would be, but if you ever saw him, you'd be like, okay, you win. Good job.
Yeah. It would have to be Mr. Potent because with 9 kids, man, he ain't shooting blank, you know?
Yeah. On World of Warcraft, he went by the name Morpheus. His real name is Meek. He's a big, giant man. I mean, Jesus. You're like, oh, look at there, genetic lottery, cool. It's like The Rock. If you met The Rock, in person, you'd be like, oh, you're related to him. Oh, that's great.
Right. Well, talking about the stimulus stuff, it's kind of interesting. I don't know who else is going through this. My wife's office closed. She, several weeks ago, and her boss applied everyone for unemployment, and I live in the state of Georgia. And so the unemployment thing's kind of a trip too, because I got a letter in the mail that he did everything right. He reported the income right, and it told us what we were supposed to be getting every week. And what we actually got was $12. 2 weeks in a row, they've given us $12. So
oh, Jesus.
we are rolling, man. You know what I'm saying? $12.
It kind of makes you want to go grab somebody by the scruff of the neck and just physically beat them in the face with a shovel.
Well, I don't know if you know about this or not. So I heard about the big bill that Congress passed, and about the unemployment part of that, right? And so basically, the way unemployment works is they take your salary for like the last 4 quarters, they add up the last two hot or the two highest quarters, and then they divide it by some number. In the state of Georgia, it's 42. I'm sure it's different in other states. And whatever that number is, that's how much money you get a week, and they have a maximum. And so for some people whose salaries would put them over the maximum. So when they put that out, I was thinking, okay, so the federal government is going to subsidize everybody's salary that they wouldn't have gotten up to what they would make, up to $600. Well, guess what? Turns out that that's wrong. It's
Oh,
better, better. The federal government basically just said what we're going to do is every single person on unemployment, whatever the state gives them, we're tacking on $600 a week, and that's it. So there's a ton of people out there that are making a bunch more money on unemployment than they ever made employed. It's pretty crazy.
well, I hope that actually comes to fruition for a lot of people because there's a lot of people, especially in the service industry. I mean, think about the places where as a band member would go and play.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah.
They're without a check. I mean,
Oh
right
yeah.
now
Yeah.
they're literally sitting at home going, "Oh crap, how am I going to pay my bills?"
Well, no. So the federal money is actually in. We actually got our first unemployment federal. We got some money, and I thought that Georgia had fixed everything, but it turns out that what happened is the federal part kicked in. And I talked to Treadaway today, and he's gotten 2 weeks of the federal. So actually, the state of Georgia isn't giving us anything, but we are getting the federal side, which is interesting.
It's weird that everybody is so guarded about their money. Nobody really wants to talk about it. I'm really curious about how a lot of people are making it. I mean, I got a friend of mine who's a tattoo artist. I mean, what does he report? You
Yeah,
know,
for
I
sure.
mean, seriously. Or you
Yeah.
got servers who normally only report part of what they actually get in tips, but are getting paid like $2 and something in change per hour. I mean, are they getting anything? Are they making enough to like pay their bills? Are they having to like sell their homes or move out of their homes and just give up their homes and move in with family? I mean, what's all going on with that? I mean,
Well, I think, and if we take Josh Treadaway and just other people I know as a example that are in the service industry and these kind of things, they struggled. They had some really hard weeks, but pretty much everyone applied for unemployment, and unemployment restrictions have loosened quite a bit. And so I think at this point, people are starting to get unemployment checks. Now, it looks like maybe, at least from the state of Georgia standpoint, they haven't gotten their act together. But as long as the federal government part kicked in, at least people are getting something. Um,
yeah.
and the stimulus should help if you got it. I mean, my hope is because I guess they said 80 million Americans got their stimulus check today. Of course, we weren't one of them, but I hope that they did it income based, right? Like that maybe
Yeah.
people who were really struggling like that were the ones who got it first, I hope, right?
Well, I
Um,
mean, and like a lot of people's like schedules have been adjusted and changed. For us personally, my wife and I both, our pay and our hours have been adjusted. But for like someone like you who's in the front lines of healthcare,
mm,
I imagine that you're still working like normal, but still like, you're in the danger zone, you're at risk,
mm.
you know, you're coming to contact with people all the time. So, I wonder how all that's considered whenever they're, paying out monies.
Well, so at this point, it's not. So just so everybody who's listening knows, in case you didn't know, I'm a nurse practitioner. I work in infectious disease. I live in Albany, Georgia. Albany, Georgia is number 4 per capita in the world in COVID-19 cases. We're number 2 in per capita cases in the U.S., but we're number 1 in deaths per capita. Bottom line being, the hospital I work at is almost all COVID people, all the intensive care units, and I'm seeing them on a pretty regular basis. Um, Now, one great thing is what you're seeing on Yahoo or reading about not having enough personal protective equipment for medical. Luckily, we have not had any of those problems. Our hospital has done a really outstanding job of getting. And I haven't gone to work one day and not had what I needed. Um, we are reusing some things we might not normally reuse, but not in a way that I think has been detrimental to patients. So,
Do you find that you're constantly swapping out gloves and masks all the time, or are you like cleaning masks and that kind of thing?
well, so the only masks that are really hard to come across are what's called an N95. And so masks don't all come in, so the N95 mask is actually a mask that if I put it on, it would prevent me from getting it. If you had it and you coughed on me, or you had droplets in your room or whatever, they're not going to get through this N95 mask. Now, most masks you see people wearing are just your run of the mill surgical masks. And basically, surgical masks don't prevent you from getting it from me, but it would prevent me from getting it from you, because the way this thing spreads is by droplets. So if you sneeze or cough and those droplets come out and fall on surfaces and you touch them and then touch your mouth, or you walk through it right after I do it or whatever, that's how it spreads. So if you have a mask on or cough or sneeze, it catches the droplets and you can't spread it. And so N95 masks are the ones that are really kind of in demand. And so we normally previously would have used one N95 for each patient. And now when I go to work, we use one N95 for that day. But
Mm.
what we do is we put a surgical mask over top of the N95 mask and then dispose of the surgical mask in between each patient. And so that's not contaminating patients. Um,
Does that make it harder to breathe?
um, it's not great, but it's not terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that as healthcare workers, we're used to wearing these masks. We just aren't used to wearing them for the duration we're wearing them. One of the really interesting things is people wearing masks so long that they're starting to have the bridge of their noses and their cheeks where the masks are actually break down, nurses. And so our wound care nurse has been going around and basically like putting these pads on nurses' faces to keep them from having the mask like basically tear their skin. It's kind of crazy,
Oh, Jesus.
because nurses are having to wear these masks like just all day, 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that nurses are working, instead of just 3 12s a week, I mean, they're working crazy shifts because we have so many patients. We've opened so many additional floors. Heck, they're even building a field hospital behind one of our hospitals that the National Guard is going to staff. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so it's nutty here. But the point of the stimulus is that initially, like the first stimulus package didn't have anything additional for frontline healthcare workers, but they're working on trying to pass the second stimulus now. And I did hear at least that one of the things they're discussing, it hasn't been passed, but it is bonuses or cash payments or something for frontline healthcare workers and for people on the front line also, like I heard, maybe the people that work at the grocery store. I got to be honest with you. If you like the people that work at Publix right now, or people that work at the grocery store are at incredibly, incredibly high risk of getting infected
Yeah.
because they're seeing so many people and they're so close to them, right? Like it's amazing. Oh, mm,
Yeah. What's weird to me is, like I was discussing this with somebody recently, is, during the month of November, I had a dry, hacky cough for like a month where I never had a fever, but I just coughed
mm.
all the time. And I wonder, okay, did I have it the whole time and didn't know? I mean,
Well,
because now you're hearing that maybe this thing came to America before, and that they're just now finding out about it and going, oh, yeah, this actually got here in November and people just didn't know about it. I mean, with my
so
job, I come into
yeah.
contact with so many people. It's very likely I could have had it the whole time and just didn't know.
So people, because I do infectious disease, people ask me all kinds of questions, and that's a pretty common one I've been getting, with people saying to me they were sick, December, January, and did they have COVID? I mean, I think the thing is that, I think the problem with that is that this stuff spreads so easily, and that, considering that 5% of people that get it are going to be really critically ill, than all the people we have in intensive care and all this kind of stuff. Um, I just think if it was here in November, we would have seen a whole bunch more people end up in intensive care, and like what we have today right now. I mean, I just think that, and I think that people that aren't that it's not that bad, or not as bad as New Orleans or New York City. Um, either you're gonna you distanced, and kind of are preventing the cases, or if you're not, wherever you are will be as bad as we are. I mean, it's just the way it is. This stuff like to spread. Um, you know, we had here in Albany, Georgia. We had a gentleman that came down for a funeral. It was a funeral attended by about 200 people. This guy brought it to Albany from Atlanta, and a lot of people at that funeral got sick, and then that pastor and some of the people at that funeral went to a second funeral, and a lot more people got sick, and that's how it started here, and it just spread like wildfire. Um, so, but I mean, I think the thing is, I mean, it's hard to maybe 100% tell but I just feel like that we weren't seeing the 5% of people that should have been really sick if COVID was here in November, we didn't see, and in December, and that kind of thing. And so that's why I'm doubtful of that, but I guess I can't prove it, right? So, anyway, you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Sorry, I ran to the restroom.
Oh, that's how you know how riveted Josh was by what I was talking about.
No. I'm on board. It's also stuff I've heard. But no, I ran to the restroom real quick, which is right next door to where the microphone is. Ironically,
Yeah, I know.
I'm hoping that the camera didn't catch all that.
I hope so. That would be like the best YouTube ever, right?
What?
That would be the best YouTube portion of your podcast ever, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is that thing going around of people using Zoom to
Oh
do
yeah,
meetings, and the guy
yeah.
gets up, he's in his underwear.
The Friends episode was on yesterday a couple of times with the guy who wore the loose gym shorts, who had his package popping out all the time, and that's all I could
Oh
think
yeah,
about was he should be on Zoom,
yeah, yeah. No kidding.
Hmm.
Well, my wife has been doing a lot of the Zoom calls for work, and she's like, I got to dress up because they want me on camera. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, I got to do my hair. So she's having to do her hair and stuff. And she's like, I don't want to do my makeup and stuff. This is it's a lot of money to do makeup. And I was like, yeah, I totally get that.
Is she like a judge though? Like she's perfect from the waist up, and then wearing like pajamas, waist down or whatever. That's
No, I
what.
mean, she thinks about the whole thing. So she even wears the pants and everything like she's supposed to.
There's no way I would do that, right?
Me
Like I'd
neither.
have I'd have a dress shirt and a tie on, and I'd be naked from the waist down for sure. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell you that working from home, there's a lot of challenges. And one of the challenges is technology. So a lot of people have suddenly had to get very well versed in things like Zoom and Zencaster and Google Hangouts and Google whatever, Google Duo, all these weird things. There's a ton of different podcast and conference websites that suddenly have had to get really popular. Just the other day, my brother sent me a thing on this app called Hangouts.
Yeah.
And I was able to video talk to him and Brandy at the same time. And I was like, oh, this is so cool because it split the screen where I could see both of them. And then once in a while, whoever was talking, it would split to that person. And I was like, this is totally neat, man. I did a deep dive today on YouTube and did some research and found out that you can use that app for up to 25 people, I think is what it said.
Wow.
So 25 people could be on the same quote unquote hangouts, and you could have a conversation, hang out with each other, and interact with each other and whatever, and then it would switch back and forth to whoever's talking, so that you see that person on the screen while you're doing your thing, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, we
I
did.
mean, it's definitely showing you how technology is trying to come forward to bridge the gap here.
Yeah, my sister-in-law's birthday was last weekend or the weekend before, and they did a Zoom chat for her as a surprise with all her family. And I never used Zoom before that, but it was pretty awesome because basically, you could hit this button and it basically split the screen 9 ways, and you could kind of see everybody, and everybody could hear everybody. I mean, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've looked at using Zoom for the podcast,
Mhm.
and one of the things that I was talked to, I guess Alex is the one that told me. He said the problem with using Zoom for that is if you don't pay for the premium, then it's limited to 40 minutes.
Right. Yep.
And I tend to go over 40 minutes. I tend to just keep talking.
Yeah. Yeah. It did have some limits. You're right. Yep.
And the premium, he's like, well, I use mine for school, so they pay for the premium because I have to talk to students, and our classrooms are usually an hour long. And mom told me the same thing, and I was like, well, I'm not going to pay for the premium because I'm just a dude with a podcast. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to pay for it unless I was using it all the time. and I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah, right.
So
Yeah, for sure. I
yeah,
agree with you. Well, one other, from the technology standpoint, one other thing that's kind of pretty cool is with the band. I'm in the '90s rock band, if anybody doesn't know, and we haven't been able to
95.
get 95, and we haven't been able to get together. Um, I am a nurse practitioner, and then we also have our guitar player who's a nurse who's been doing like contracting to work with COVID people, and our other people in the band don't want to get near us, which makes good sense. um, our risk is so high, I don't think it makes sense to get near us. Um, and so what we're doing is we're working on how could we do this online. And so we all bought these audio interfaces. I got my audio interface the other day, and we're using a computer program that's called Jam Kazam. And so basically, I can plug my mic, and they can plug their instruments into this audio interface, and then plug it into the computer, and
How
we
do you
can.
spell that? Jam Kazam.
It's just JAMKAZAM. And so basically, like, we can all be split screened and recording and live streaming through Jamkazam. Now, our guitar player hasn't gotten his interface in yet, but our bass player, drummer, and myself all have ours. And so we've been playing around with it, and it seems to work. Um, One other interesting thing you can do with the interface, if you want to, like when I'm by myself, when I was trying it and playing with it, is I got one that has two inputs. And you know what it is? I mean, basically, it's like a board. It's a board. It's a preamp, two-channel board, but it's in a little box, and they call it an interface. But all it is a little board. Um, and so basically, I plugged an iPad into one and ran like a karaoke track off YouTube and plugged my mic in the other and was singing through it and recording just to play around with it and figure it out. But it looks like I know tons of people are doing all that karaoke stuff on YouTube, and I guess that's the way they're doing it. Um,
Really?
yeah, so it's pretty neat. I had the all you got to do is get a they make this little adapter for an iPad or an iPhone that's basically a lightning to a 3.5 or a 1/8, and then you get an adapter that turns it into I'm sorry, that's a quarter inch. 3.5 is a quarter, and then the eighth is the one that plugs into your board or into the interface. And so you get a couple adapters, and you can plug an iPad or an iPhone into one of the channels, and you can just run. YouTube has all these karaoke tracks or whatever. You can run off of there, and then put a mic in another one, and just mix the sound, and you can sing right through it and record it and do whatever you want. It's kind of cool.
See, I want to set something like that up here, so that whenever you come to visit, or Treadaway or West or whatever, we can set up something here and just jam out here.
Well, I mean, we could even do, like, the cool thing is like on Jam Kazam, we could set up a session where all four of us run a Jam Kazam session, and I could play something off my iPad, and we all could sing to it, and we could meld it and mix it and do all that stuff. It's pretty interesting. We wouldn't actually
No
have to be
kidding.
together. Yeah.
Now,
So
is that an app I can download on my computer?
yeah, yeah. It's just go to Jam Kazam or Google it. You'll find it, and it's sign
Okay.
it up. It's free, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's pretty neat. And I mean, you don't have to have an interface. If you have a board that USBs, you can just USB your board in, and it works the same way. Um, so it's pretty
They
cool. I
have a
mean,
website.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
neat. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. You know, it's just really interesting. I mean, there's some rules, like you can't use Wi-Fi internet with it. You have to plug into Ethernet into your modem, and they really don't recommend a router because it uses a lot of data, and so there's a lot of latency. But mine's working really well. It says it'll check your latency and tell you how many people you could mesh with, and mine's really high. Um, but I have really high speed internet. But the interesting thing is like there's a whole bunch of people up there signed up on Jam Kazam that you can go in there and say, hey, I'm a vocalist and I want to jam with people. And like someone who's a guitar player that lives in Michigan, you could jam with them. Like you can jam with people all over the country. It's really interesting, the stuff it does. It's really, really something else. It's fun to play with.
I'm downloading it right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you can enjoy it. It's you'll it. Here's what I want to tell you about it. There's 6 YouTube videos. Um, it's like Jam, and all you have to do is like go to YouTube and search like Jam Kazam 1, and so it's like Jam Kazam Step 1, and so there's 6 of them. And so basically, what I recommend is that everyone watch those 6 videos, and they're not very long, but they basically walk you through the instructions of setting up each part of it, because you have to. The frustrating part of it, if it's anything, is setting everything up. But those videos, I followed them, and it was no problem. Worked really good. So,
Really.
yep. So watch those
Um,
videos, and you'll be rolling before you know it.
the last time that we all got together at the Wooden Nickel and rocked out, there was a small Asian lady there named Leslie Pale.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm friends with Leslie on Instagram, and she just had a birthday recently, actually the same day as my mom. And she posted that she's been doing karaoke on Instagram, and I was like, "What?" And she's using some kind of app on Instagram to do live karaoke, and I was like, "Get out of here! That's so cool." She's like, "I'll send you an invite next time we do it." I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, do that."
I
So
mean,
yeah,
what? Yeah, one of the things I thought that's pretty interesting is like all the GoFundMe stuff now and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Um, so we have a lady here. Is anybody in Florence doing the thing where you go to somewhere and paint a picture and drink? Um,
yeah. We have a place downtown that's doing that.
so we have a lady here named Haley who does it in Albany, and she does it at different places. But she calls herself Buzzed Brush Strokes and Buzzed Folks, and she's on Facebook. And what she's done is she set it up at her house, and she does Facebook Live. And so basically, she puts out every week a list of supplies, and then people order it from Michael's or wherever and go and pick it up curbside, bring it home, and then she Facebooks Lives her session, and everyone paints the picture, and she has like 200 something people doing it now. And because it's online, I mean, there's people doing it in North Carolina and California and all over the place with her. And I've done it 3 weeks in a row. It's a great way to spend a couple hours she does them on Sundays. And but it's free, but she has this thing where she gives out her Venmo and her PayPal, and people are tipping her, for the time, and she's making more money now than she was when she was doing the doing it at events and stuff. And so it's pretty cool. But I do recommend that if anyone likes to paint, go to this Albany, Georgia. But because it's on Facebook, anyone can do it anywhere, and go pick up order some supplies at Michael's, pick them up. My stepmom and my dad in Augusta are doing it with us too, so it's pretty cool.
No,
Yeah.
one of
But
the
what
things
I
I've been trying to do is, while I'm podcasting, is talk to people about what are you doing to like break the boredom of the quarantine. So like the last podcast I did was with a lady who's a fitness instructor, Christina Johnson. She works at the World Fitness Gym here locally in town,
yeah,
and she was talking about how she's doing Facebook Live through World Fitness Gym on Facebook.
yeah,
And her and several other instructors are doing like live instruction, come work out with us every day on Facebook Live. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
But like, I've also been talking to other folks. Last week on Friday, I talked to a guy, a musician, Derek Dove. He's from Tifton, Georgia, and
yeah.
he's been putting up live music every so often, like every day lately, because he's like, I got all the spare time on my hands, and I'm not performing anywhere, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to do something. And he's literally trying to put out content on a regular basis just to have people interact, because he's like, what else am I going to be doing? I should be performing in front of people, but right now I got no choice other than to just sit at the house or perform. So he's like, hopefully somebody will like click online and maybe buy a t-shirt or some music, or at least come out to a show whenever we get going again.
Well, hopefully he has like a GoFundMe up there. This whole topic came up just because we were talking about karaoke. Because I really thought about, if you were a karaoke host and you think about that girl that was doing it on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could host a karaoke show. People love karaoke so much that you could host an online karaoke show, and have it done through one of these programs where you would call someone up and play the song and they'd sing it, or because like I could do that with the equipment I have at home. And if you did that though, and you put up this thing where you could get donations, I mean, I bet you could get some money doing that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting.
Well, I mean, Alex and I one time we went to see Bert Kreischer in Charleston, in not Charleston, Charlotte, and we were at the Comedy Zone, and right outside the Comedy Zone, there was a karaoke bar. And we went into this karaoke bar, and they had a setup unlike anything I'd ever seen before, where you get up and you put in a song, and when you're first, like it's your first time there, you can sing for free. But every song after that, you have to donate at least $1 to go in. And if
Hmm,
you want to get at the front of the list, then you pay, $5, $10, whatever it is.
sure.
And it was a way for them to make money because she was basically renting out the space from the facility. It was a way for them to make money, and you can sing as much as you want if you're willing to, throw up some cash. But I thought that was pretty interesting as a way to make money during that time. You know, she had the selection, she had the equipment, she came in, she's renting the space from somebody, she's got to pay somebody. But there was a crowd of people there, and they were singing constantly over and over and over again. And I was like, well, they got to be paying to be singing like that, so good for them.
Yeah, they have that place in Atlanta that does the live band karaoke, and it's kind of like that too. They have a live band and their song list is fairly limited, I guess, because the band has to know how to play all the songs. But um, it, I looked at that one time, and it was sort of like that you could sign up for a song, but if you wanted to do another song, it cost like $20 or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, kind of interesting, but yeah, it's kind of cool, isn't it? Hmm.
The first time I ever saw something like that was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I went there to visit my stepdad years ago when I was in the Marine Corps. And I went out with his stepdaughter, Rachel, and she took me downtown. Route 66 runs right through the middle of downtown New Mexico and Albuquerque or whatever. And we went to this bar that was literally one of those shotgun bars that's like really narrow. And it
Right.
goes way back, but it had like two levels in the back, and there was a band playing on the second level, and they had like open mic night. And all of a sudden, I hear them jamming up with a Jimi Hendrix "Hey Joe," and I was like, "What?" And there was this little Poindexterish looking white dude with a tie and everything, and his white dress apparel and his spiky hair and blonde hairdo, and all of a sudden he starts belting out this baritone "Hey Joe," and I was like, "Get out of town!" It's awesome.
Yeah,
And I
it
was
is
like,
cool.
no one would have expected the voice to come out of this dude that comes out of this guy. But it was like, holy crap, I can't believe we just walked into. But it was like an open mic deal where it was just like, anybody who wants to sing, come on up. We got a band here. And they basically knew how to play just about everything. But, it kind of makes me wonder, like, moving forward, what that kind of stuff is going to be like.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's. I mean, it's a real question about kind of where do we go from here, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's this group of people who just believe that after this, like everyone's going to want things to return to normal, that everything's just going to go back to normal, and then there's this other group that are like, nah, life can't ever kind of be the same again, and I don't know which one it's going to be. Probably a mix of the both. I think. I mean, one of the things that's pretty interesting that this has been for it's kind of a loss of options, right? Like if you want stuff, like how spoiled were we to just be like with Amazon, like anything you want, you order it and it'll be here within a day or two,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And like the loss of that, and you're just like, oh man, that was so good when we had it, right?
Well,
But
yeah, like,
yeah,
I have a pellet grill as well. And so, like, I needed to order some extra pellets. And when I ordered them, they were like, they'll be here on Tuesday. And then all of a sudden, they were like, they'll be here in a month. And I was like, wait,
yeah,
what?
right. That's right. Yeah.
You mean they'll be here in a month? What?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
never happened before.
No, that's right. I mean, it's really strange. Like, just working to try to get this interface together and the equipment that we would need to play as a band has been a real challenge because it's all back ordered, it's all out of stock. I guess a bunch of people are doing it, but I mean, even to the point where like some of those companies that had this stuff were like, oh well, we're closed for Passover, so we'll see you in 2 weeks and all this, and I'm like, holy cow. Like before, you just like you'd put something in online to buy, and there'd be 80 places you could buy it, and they're like competing with each other, and like for the first time I'm trying to buy things and I can't find them or I can't get them, and it's just really weird. I mean, it's first world problems, right?
Oh, yeah,
but with
absolutely.
that being said, I'm like, dang, it's just different, wow.
Kind of expanding on that a little bit. It's also created a lot of diversity. So, like, those last podcast t shirts that I came out with came from a company called Terminus Tees. and they offered a special deal. You sent me the offer, as a matter of fact, where it was
Yeah.
like, hey, if you order 100 of them, you can get them for this price. And it was like, around $4 a piece if you ordered 100 of them. So you figure, that plus tax and whatever is going to run you over $400. But when I got them, I was like, okay, cool. I got T-shirts I can hand out, and I've been mailing them to people, and the mailing costs. So I have a friend of mine who, through YouTube, lives in Ontario, Canada. Shout out to Terry, Mr. Tortessa on YouTube. It was like $1,200, and I had to fill out like a customs form to send him this T-shirt, and I was like, "It's one T-shirt. It's $12. The shirt only cost me $4. Jesus, man!" And he's like, "I'll send you some money." And the whole time I was like, "No, it's a promotion or whatever." But I'm eating the cost basically. But I'm sending everybody T-shirts, and I'm like, "Okay, listen. My one ask is that if I send you a T-shirt, send me a picture back of you wearing the T-shirt. That way I can add you to the website." And like, I'm still getting kickback from people going, yeah, I'll get around to it. I'm like, come on, like, help me out a little bit.
Yeah. Listen, shipping is no joke, man. If you ever decide you want to ship something, like even when you get, like I was shipping stuff pretty regularly for a while, and I even got this account on UPS where I would get this code and you could save this percentage every time.
Yeah.
And deal with that. The shipping is expensive. I mean, shipping's
Yeah, the
crazy.
shipping is
Yeah.
crazy. Which
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. That's all manpower. I mean, that's them moving the product and keeping track of it and all that stuff and delivering it, which is great. I mean, but I can't imagine people who actually sell stuff on Amazon and somehow they figure out a way to still make money on the deal.
Well, it's all built in. I mean, I ordered this adapter. I was telling you about needing a quarter or a 1/8 inch adapter so that I can plug the iPad into the interface. And I ordered one off of this website called ZZ Sounds, I think. I mean, the dang thing was like $2.65 after tax, and for some reason they had free shipping, and it came in this big box, and it was this little thing. And I was told Lane, I was like, man, this thing costs more to ship to me than the $2.65 I paid for it. There's no doubt.
Kidding.
I was like, how can they do that? I don't understand how they can do that.
I don't know how I can make it cost effective.
Yeah,
They, because I've, bought T-shirts from this company, they've sent me promotional things along the way of, here's ideas of stuff we're doing to try and make money outside of, you guys buying T-shirts, because we realize it costs money for you guys to buy T-shirts and then for us to make them and blah, blah, blah. Right now, not everybody's in this same state. So we're thinking outside the box. We're going to come up with a company. They came up with a sister company called Store Frontier, where basically you can come up with an idea for a T-shirt and send them your idea and pick sizes and colors and all that other stuff. And you promote it, and you market it. And if it sells, then you get to split the profits with the people. I mean, you basically set a price point and everything else, but they'll make it as people order it instead of just making a crap ton of T-shirts that people are housing. So I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I did that. But then it got me thinking. I was like, what else can I make? Well, today they came out with an email saying, hey, we realize that there's a big demand for these masks that people are wearing. So if you want to order masks with like your logo on the front, then, click here to find out more information. So I followed the link and I looked it up, and they do have that option, but you got to order like 100 of them, and they cost like $7.50 per mask. If you buy 100, minimum of 100. So you got to spend $700 just to get your mask. Yeah, and I'm like, all right, that's a hard no.
Yeah, like I think it would be really awesome to have a whole bunch of people wandering around the hospital in 95 masks, but not $750.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Awesome. Yeah,
yeah, but you'd have to buy 100 of them just to do it, and it's like,
that's crazy.
That would be brutal.
Since we're talking about merch, I know I sent you a text the other day, but
koozies.
I was thinking about you, and I still think you should get some koozies. I got to be honest, like with 95, I've gotten T-shirts, I've gotten buttons, I've gotten fake tattoos, I've gotten stickers like crazy, I've gotten all these different things. And
wait, you have fake tattoos?
Oh yeah, I have 95 fake tattoos. Yeah, we take them to the bar. Women will put them in good places, whatever.
You should have that as part of. Listen, you're missing out on your marketing portion of this.
What should I be doing?
I mean, you gotta create some kind of like Instagram account and like post photos and have people forward photos of their pictures of them wearing the merch and of their various tattoos in various places.
I got this really, really awesome picture of this guy that I work with that got a tattoo and put it on his forehead one night at the bar. And so I have a picture of him with a 95 tattoo on the middle of his forehead. It's sweet.
Listen, I did that once with a Nerf basketball goal suction cup.
Oh
That
yeah,
doesn't come off for days.
yeah. I told him, I was like, dude, this is a huge mistake. But he'd had a few drinks. He was like, no, I'm down. I'm like, okay, buddy, have a good
Jeremy, you called in 3 days last week. Is there a reason why?
time. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there was an accident, and I just had to stay home.
Oh, that picture's actually up on the 95 site on Facebook. I had to put that one up there. That one's amazing. Um, but I did want to talk to you about koozies, and the reason is just because like koozies are the thing that everybody is the most excited about. It's interesting because I did only black for so long, but everyone in the band was getting on my case and wanted me to get other colors. So now we got green. So every time I order them now, we're going to do different colors because what I found out is that people who have a bunch of black ones, they're like, oh, now they're dying to come see us because they want a green one, right? It's
Oh,
driving traffic, and the stupid things. I mean, they're cheap, so I don't know. They're great. People love them.
you got to send me the link so that I know what to follow to put those in.
I will, and it's one of those things too. Like the more that you order, the cheaper that they get. And I usually order them about 300 at a time, um, but 300 of them at a time. And then the other thing about it is, I'll send you the site of the people that I use. Um, I think it's called 24hourwristbands.com is what it's called, and they have a koozie section, and I like their koozies, and they do a good job. But there's always a promo code you can find too online. Like you can just search promo code, and so you can always get some money off. But I think I get them down to about 32 cents a piece, which I don't think is too bad.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah, but there's
Yeah, I'm
some
looking for giveaway
popular.
stuff. I mean, the T-shirts were, like I said, $4 a piece for T-shirts, not bad. But
Sure.
then, the giveaway stuff, you kind of want more stuff to just give away. I wish there was stuff like stickers and stuff like that you get cheaper.
Well, I mean, I can get you stickers, but I'm just going to be honest with you. People don't want stickers, or at least not
Yeah.
from the band, right? I mean, I ordered stickers like when we first started the band. I still have some left. I have to keep ordering koozies. And 33 cents a shot is pretty good and they're good quality, and people just love them. Like, that's what people want. I'll just be honest with you.
Hmm.
So if you're looking for something good to give out, I can send you the link to the place I use. They do a good job, but it's just in my experience from the merch that I've gotten and all the different merch I've gotten. It's the one people get the most excited about. And plus, like people at home drinking beer and stuff, and they'll pick up your koozie to put their beer in and say, "Oh, I remember about the podcast. I haven't listened in a while. Maybe I should do that."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my wife works in the trucking industry, and they used to have, notepads and pens and stuff like that. And she's like, the more you can put it in their hands, the more of an
yes.
opportunity they have to look at it and go, oh, yeah, I should check into that again. So, I mean, that's all part of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, with the band, I mean, the people that are going to come see the band probably like to drink beer. And so, yeah, they take the koozies home, and people will be like, this one girl I worked with told me, she was like, man, I was at home and we were having some drinks, and I looked down, I was using the 95 koozie. She said, we hadn't come see 95 in a while, so we came to the show. Hey,
Cool.
that's what you want, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
I wanted to recommend that to you as I think something that would be good because it's not that expensive, but it's really popular. People just want them. They want them. They don't just like them. They want them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll all be able to socially gather again in the future and show off our koozies and stuff like that.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's coming. I mean, that's the one thing is I know it. I still think we're weeks away, and people just get discouraged by that. But I mean, when you look at the overall scheme of things, weeks just aren't that much time, and it's coming. I mean, our time's coming. Everybody just got to hang in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
It makes me wonder about the special groups of people out there that are used to groups, what they're doing. I mean,
Mhm.
like right now, sports I think is the most effective. They're the basketball, hockey, football, baseball. Baseball, this is prime season for baseball and golf. And right now they're just like, well, I
Oh,
mean,
I
we'll get
know
back
it.
to it eventually.
Oh, the Masters.
Recently the UFC is the big news event, and the fact that they keep trying to schedule something and nothing can seem to come about because everybody's like, well, if we do that and suddenly there's an outbreak, we're going to be at fault. So,
Did you see they rescheduled the Masters for November? I
did
thought
they?
that was, yeah, they did. That's really interesting because I'm thinking that what the weather's going to be like, doing the Masters in November, it's going to be pretty different. But they did reschedule it. So that's kind of interesting. Hey, I don't know if you knew about this. I figured I'd tell you because it's dirty. Ticketmaster um, changed their policy very recently. So they had on their website that you could get refunds if your event was canceled, rescheduled, or delayed. And they've changed it now to say you can only get refunds if it's canceled. So they're basically saying if we reschedule it and you can't go, too bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically the same thing I ran into with Vivid Seats. I bought tickets for the Jeff Dunham show for 4 of us, and they sent me an email saying, "Yeah, if you can't make it, just try to sell your tickets." I
Yeah,
was like,
right.
"What?"
That's right. Yeah, exactly. No,
What
yeah.
pissed me off even more is the fact that we had hotel rooms. We bought 2 hotel rooms, and they basically sent me an email saying, "Yeah, sorry, and you don't get any points, and you've already paid the money, so sorry."
Really? Oh my
I was
God.
like, what? Now, I used hotels.com to buy my tickets because a lot of times hotels.com, the price is a little bit cheaper than using whatever. And, we have a special hookup through a special friend of ours, but there was none of those hotels available. So I still used hotels.com because I thought, well, at least then I get to save like, at least $20 a night or maybe more. And the problem is if they use a third party like that, then it's through a third party, and then the hotel is considered off the hook because it's like, well, we sold these tickets through promotional, so it's through them. If you couldn't make it, that's on you. And
Man, that's
so
terrible.
hotels.com
Wow.
was like, sorry. So they just took the money and didn't give me any point. I mean, at least they should have at least given me the point since they got the money, and then I
Yeah,
would have
sure.
credit for the extra 2 nights that I was charged. But they didn't give me anything, and they just took the money, and I was like, I kind of want to say fuck you from that point on,
Yeah,
just because they took the
yeah.
money and didn't give me anything in return. But it gives me nothing to kind of argue with them on, in the fact that, I got no choice in the future. If I want to use them in the future, I mean,
I don't
I'm
know how
going
good
to.
I don't know what good it does for any business to like really do all their customers like really dirty right now.
Right.
Right?
It was
Like,
really crappy of them to do that, and I was
yeah.
like,
I mean, why would you want to piss everybody off? Because eventually we're going to come out of this and there's going to be a lot of people that just say, nope, we're not using you anymore. I mean, how many businesses will fold
yeah.
if they're doing nasty stuff like that to people during this time? I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, and it kind of
Especially,
made me want to
yeah.
do that. I mean, and Dolores told me, she was like, "Don't use them for anything else again." And I was like, I mean, if they didn't save me a lot of money, I wouldn't, but they do in the long run. I mean, once
Yeah,
this comes
that's right.
around again, it's going to be beneficial for me to use them. Maybe. I
Sure.
don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
I mean, the way capitalism goes, there may be another company that comes across and they're way better. So,
Maybe
whatever.
so. Maybe so. Hey,
I mean,
so
we had
oh,
tickets. We had already booked something for this coming weekend. This Saturday is Dolores and I's 15th anniversary.
happy
So
anniversary.
we had something special planned. We were going to go to the beach and rent a place, and we were going to go out. And she's like, "I want to go to Dave and Buster's. I've never been to Dave and Buster's." And I was like, "Okay." I've never been there. I mean, I haven't been there since I was in the military, which was,
Right.
22 years ago. So I was like, yeah, let's go. It'd be fun. There's a place at the Myrtle Beach that has that. And so we booked it, and we were going to plan a day and all that stuff. Then when all this came across, I was like, well, the governor's officially said that all stuff at the beach is closed. We need to call and at least cancel. And this was right after the thing with hotels.com. And I was like, I hope to God they at least refund us something. And I called up the local, I guess it was Embassy Suites, which is run by Hilton Garden.
Yeah.
I called them up and I was like, hey, I noticed the governor said this is closed. Are you guys closing? And they said yes. And I said, okay, well, I need to go ahead and cancel. And she was like, okay, refunded us everything. And I was like, cool, thank you. That was awesome. So, I mean, at least
That's
there's some companies out there that are at least following through and making it right for people.
yeah, I know it. It's something else. Hey, listen, I guess we're coming up on about 50 minutes recording, but I know before we get off, because I'm gonna have to get off in a few minutes, if you wanted to talk about my lack of drinking because it was making you laugh
Yeah,
so
what's
hard.
wrong with you in the drinking?
Yeah, I know it. It was making you laugh too hard, and I know you wanted to talk about it. So,
Listen, originally I thought it was you trying to prove to yourself, I'm not an alcoholic. See, I can quit anytime I want. Fuck you guys.
well,
But
so what?
then I thought about the fact that you're in like ground zero of all kinds of craziness going on with the coronavirus, and it's probably safer if you just go, let me just be as safe as possible.
Nah.
No,
So, like, here's what happened. Like, so basically, every single year, we generally don't drink during January, usually. Okay, but this
okay.
year we sort of missed it. Like this year, we drank right through January. so so come February, I decided that it was time to take a break. Now, what happened was February 14th. Oh, I think I lost connection there. But what happened
No.
was quit February. Then February 14th, I went to Mardi Gras. So I'm at Mardi Gras. When I'm at Mardi Gras, the whole time I was there, I drank 2 beers right before we did the parade float, and that's all I had there. So I was there with my friend Cade Cummings, and Cade's like, "You picked the worst time in history to not be drinking. Coming to Mardi Gras." He's like, "This is stupid, blah blah blah," but whatever. So what I found out is that since we've been quarantined, Mardi Gras is the second worst time to not be drinking, right? Because not drinking through quarantine. Now, I will say that it's probably pretty good, just considering how much time I have at home. Like, I could be dead, right? Like, I mean, how much I would have been drinking would have been ridiculous. So, since I haven't been drinking, I've just been keeping it going, and I
Your
haven't drank.
suffering will be legendary.
Yeah, I mean, it really
Even
sucks. Like,
in Albany.
yeah, no, and like you said, there's really good reasons, right? Like I need to
Yeah.
function and I need to work, and I mean I have to take care of these people and I have to do these things. So yes, it's really good that I'm functioning. I'm high functioning when I don't drink. Holy cow! But
Well, I'm a big fan of Bert Kreischer, and that's one of the things he's been talking about is the fact that he's lived this party lifestyle for so long. He said when this coronavirus came out, he goes, I'm sober, and he just quit drinking.
yeah,
He's like, I haven't drank in like 28 days, and he goes, I'm just not. He's like, why invite that extra element into me getting sick and ending all of this, and I could just be healthy. And so, I kind of wondered if that was part of it, but you know, I kind of joked around a little bit with the idea of you and Lane taking that time off every year of going, see, I'm not an addict. Screw
no,
you
yeah,
guys. I can totally take this time off.
no, we take that. Yeah, no, I take that. I take that time off just to prove to myself that I can. I'm just like, it's like,
It's sort of the reinforcement you need to go, see, I don't have a problem.
yeah. Well, like I said, we totally and completely missed January this year, and that was concerning to me. So, I'm coming through. But I did listen to Two Bears in One Cave, and I think it's funny what you said about Bert because he was on the podcast talking about how he's made the decision that he can drink, but if he does drink, then he can't drink for 5 days. And so
Right.
if he drinks and doesn't drink for 5 days, he says that one doesn't count. He can't drink
Right.
5 days before or 5 days after is his rule. And so,
Which is funny.
yeah. So during quarantine and not drinking, I'm looking for any reason to come up with something. And he's saying that, and I'm going, maybe I should do that. But the real problem is I'd say, okay, I'm going to drink today, and then I can't drink 5 days before or after. Well, I just don't think that would last very long, right? So
Right.
probably better.
Right. But, I think for him, it's all about making deals with yourself. You're like, all right, so I did this, so I can do this.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, but you have to have a lot of willpower to keep a deal like that. I don't know if I'm that good. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and he said that I've listened to him on a regular basis, and he's like, I did drink on Joe's podcast. I had 2 drinks, and I hit a joint twice. He goes, and that's it. He goes, but that's all I've done in the last 28 days.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd like to drink. He goes, but if I'm healthy, then at least I can sort of combat this COVID-19 a little bit. And if I'm in my healthiest self, that's less of a chance of me catching it. So I mean, that's smart on his part. And I'm glad that he's not an addict in that, that standard. That was one of the
Yeah.
things that ran in my family a lot is alcoholism. And my mom was always like, I'm worried about you. I'm worried that you're going to, catch the same thing that my dad had and his dad and his dad had, and my
Yeah.
brother had. And I was like, okay, well, I realized along the way that I could have beer in the fridge and not drink for like a month and it wouldn't bother me at all. I was like, okay, well, I don't need it, but I enjoy it. And now that I'm off, I've made a deal with the local liquor store, Mickey Finn's. I went down to them and I said, "Hey, can you guys get cans? Because I just want to buy the cans. They make less of a mess and it's just easier." And they're like, "Oh yeah." Well, it turns out the cans are cheaper than the bottles. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to keep some in the fridge outside. That way, I at least have some for when I want some. But also, I figure there's going to be. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say they want to do a drinking podcast, and I'm like, okay, we can do that, but I got to hold up my end of it then. So I'm like, I got to be prepared. Just let me make sure I have supplies ready just in case.
Yeah. Well, I think that I went through like we drank in high school, of course, right, a bunch, and then I didn't
Allegedly,
I didn't drink from like 18 to
allegedly.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't drink any alcohol from like 18 to 27 or something like that, right?
Well,
And
I quit.
so,
I
yeah.
quit all the time I was married. I don't think I drank maybe one or two drinks the entire time I was married. The first
Hmm.
marriage. And it wasn't until I got divorced that I started drinking again. And it was like I was 24 then.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
or
made up for it.
25,
You
maybe
know what I
20.
mean?
I was
Yeah. I
just
mean,
before my 25th birthday. Yeah.
I made up for that time I took off, but I figure I took that time off. I could take some time off again. It's all right. I mean, I like it. I'm good at it. Don't get me wrong, right? Like I'm good at it. But yeah, it's been nice taking a break. I sleep
It's a hidden
when I
talent.
when I don't drink, man. I can't even tell you like how much better I sleep. Like really, if there's one big benefit, it's sleeping. Holy cow, I sleep.
Really?
Oh yeah, I sleep so much better not drinking. It's crazy. Holy cow,
Hmm.
the sleep is
I
marvelous.
got off work yesterday and I had like 3 beers, and I got off work fairly early, but I had like 3 beers and I worked, I did some work around the house, and um, I was still home early enough that I could take a nap, and I took like a 3 hour nap, and I felt like a new person when I woke up. I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, this is great!" Got up and had a glass of tea with dinner, and then some water the rest of the evening. And my wife has been on this kick lately of watching Andy Griffith's show as we get ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
And so we've been watching all of Andy Griffith on Netflix, and I've been talking about it recently about how watching that every evening as you get ready to go to bed is very soothing in the fact that you know that every episode they're gonna figure a way out of the situation, or
Mm,
everything's gonna work out somehow.
sure.
So it doesn't matter what you're watching on Andy Griffith, you're like, oh, this will all work out. And it's very soothing, especially during a pandemic where if you're watching the news, everyone's like, we're all going to die. And you're watching something like Andy Griffith and it's like, and
Yeah.
Opie's like, gosh, Paul, and it all works out. You're like, hey, it all worked out great. It's
Oh yeah.
just, it's satisfying, and it does help me sleep better. you know, the things that you take in sort of help you as you go. So like it's like seeds. The seeds that you plant, you're going to reap, right? So if you crowd your day with stuff like, I don't know, Tiger King, then as you go to bed, you're going to dream about these crazy mullet idiots that are,
Uh,
breeding
you're get,
tigers and
you're gonna
snorting coke.
dream about Carol Baskin. I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that
I
bit.
do not want to watch that show because it looks too much like people I grew up with. So,
It is.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I
it
am
is.
not.
Yeah, it is.
It'd be like if Dave had a bunch of Daves, and you're like, oh, this is all Dave.
Oh
So
man, yeah. It's well, I know you didn't watch it, so you won't get the Carol Baskin thing, but the Carol Baskin stuff is pretty darn funny. A lot of good memes. You know,
oh yeah,
one thing that's kind of interesting when I don't drink is like how I recognize that sometimes social media and being on the computer and screen time stresses me the hell out, right?
yeah,
Like if I'm on the computer drinking, I can just be on the computer for 19 hours and drink and I'll never notice that. But man, when I'm not drinking, sometimes I'm on the computer and all of a sudden I just notice like I'm feeling super, super stressed. And I turn off the computer and walk away and I'm perfectly fine. And
yeah,
so not drinking is fairly interesting and it does a lot of good things and it's overall better. And I'm not going to do it like for the rest of my life, but I don't know how long I'm going to do it right now. I think it's all right, pretty good. I like to drink a lot less, honestly, overall than I was previously. Because I mean, honestly, I'd like it to where I'd like to be able to drink with a purpose, if that makes any sense. Like only to drink if there's some reason to do it, not just because I'm at home and I'm bored and I'm not doing anything.
right.
Um, so if I went to my dad's, or if I came to visit you guys, or if we went to a comedy show, or we did something where it was just like a cool event and we had a few drinks, I think that's great. But hoping
Not if
that
it's like
yeah,
Wednesday.
yeah, right. Yeah, not just because it's Tuesday. I don't know. I mean, I'm being kind of serious, like, about the fact that I would do stuff like that. Like, if I had a day where I'd get off work early, I'd be like, cool, man, I can go home and I can have a couple beers, and I can play on the computer and do whatever. And I mean, not productive time really either, right? So,
Yeah.
because during quarantine, when I haven't been drinking, man, we painted the kitchen, we painted the hallway, we've done a bunch of outside work, cleaned all the windows, pressure washed the house. I mean, I've been really productive.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I
Um,
before the
yeah,
quarantine, I bought a cordless weed eater that's battery
yeah,
powered,
yeah,
and I used it last week. I got my wife to cut the grass, and I used it until the battery died, and then I had to charge it, and I was like, oh crap, and I got like half the yard done. Well, today I went out and finished it because the weather was nice and the thing was charged, and I'm really impressed with the ability of the cordless battery powered devices.
oh yeah,
It did everything I needed it to do. I was like, this is really really convenient. But it was nice to get outdoors and to do that kind of stuff. We had a lot of high wind recently where one of our shutters had blew off the front of the house. Of course, the house is brick and the shutter is like vinyl, so it's like a
yeah,
weird connection the way it's set in. And
yeah,
so I went out there today and I filled up the holes with caulk and I shoved the little things back in there with caulk because I figure at least the silicone will expand and
yeah,
hopefully like glue will let it stick in there.
yeah.
But it was
No,
nice
that's
to get that stuff
a good
done
idea.
today. Made me feel like I was accomplishing something while the weather was at least nice.
Mm-hmm. No, that's one good thing about this whole thing is how nice our weather has been. Um, I can't complain about the weather at all. And we've been
Yeah,
walking the dogs, and we've been having. I mean, it really, honestly. I mean, at least from my standpoint, I mean, it's not so terrible now. I am still going to work, but I'm not working that like all the work I can do at home. I'm doing at home, just because a lot of the computer work I could do here. Because I really, honestly, I don't want to go to work and put my hands on a bunch of computers and stuff that everyone's using.
yeah,
And the other thing is I figured like a lot of people have to be there and be on the floor and around the patients for 12 hours, and I'm fortunate I don't have to be. I can do all my computer stuff at home before, go see the patients, get in, get out, come home and finish. And so I'm trying to limit my time up there. But we've been fortunate. I was exposed to quite a few people at the beginning. I think the first 7 patients we had that we didn't even know COVID was here yet, I was exposed to all of them. Never had symptoms though at all. So I've been doing really well, and we've been lucky. As far as I know, I don't have any family or friends that have gotten it or gotten sick or symptomatic at all whatsoever. So that's pretty nice. Now, that's outside of here. Like, I know a lot of nurses, and there are quite a few nurses I know who have gotten it. Some of them have gotten really sick, but a small percentage. Most people who get it are just running some fevers and are home for a little while, and then they're back. Um, but but we've been pretty fortunate, I think. So,
the last time you and I talked, we talked about a nurse who was on Facebook and doing a Facebook Live crying about, I don't want to do blah, blah, blah.
oh
And now
God, yeah.
there's some news out recently about the fact that this supposed person was fake.
No, no, she's not fake. She's real. As a matter of fact, if you listen to my last podcast from 5 and 40, I talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
her.
I heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she is not fake. She's 100% real. she,
Well,
she,
there's websites that are saying that her video is fake, and I was like, well,
no,
it's
no,
not fake. I know that
that is
whole situation.
that is not a fake video. She's been on national talk shows where people sat there and basically were supporting her and saying, "Oh, you did the right thing and you should take care of yourself," and all this kind of stuff. And she actually sent me a message on Facebook because I posted some stuff and I had been pretty vocal about not agreeing with what she did. And
Yeah.
so she told me a bunch of stuff in the post she sent me that wasn't stuff that she put on the video. And honestly, there was nothing she said that changed my mind. But I did say to her, when you post a video on Facebook, all people can take away from it is what you put on the video. And I said, what you put on the video was a really bad look for you. I said,
And
and
and you're in a
yeah,
very unique position of also being a healthcare provider and being a person with a podcast platform. You have to sort of kind of, guide those lines in between of being, somewhat have an opinion, but also being like, hey, this is the right way to handle it. And I thought you did a great job. I thought the way you did it on your podcast, 5 and 40, was awesome. I mean, you were like, here's my opinion. This is the way I would have handled it. I don't think you handled it the right way, but I understand. I mean, I thought the way you did it was really professional, but also, very interesting how you showed her version, didn't discredit her in any way, but also said, this is kind of what you signed up for when you became a nurse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I
as a
think,
professional, as a healthcare worker, this is what you plan for. And, at all costs, you take care of patients, which I thought was very important.
well, one of the biggest problems with all the people that are supporting that behavior is that because healthcare workers aren't supporting her behavior, right? Because we all understand.
Yeah.
Um, my problem is with she got so many, like, all of the people, if she went on a national talk show or news show and talked about it and had the host and all these people supporting her, those are the same people that if one of their family members got sick, they drive to the hospital and demand someone took care of their family member. Well, guess what? If half the nurses walked out because they didn't want to take care of COVID patients, there wouldn't be anybody to take care of your family member.
Yeah.
Um, the only reason that anyone would support that is because they don't understand the medical profession. Because there aren't, like, if someone like that walks, there's not someone to take their place. There's a finite number of nurses, right? And so if there's going to be people to care for all these sick people got to step up. And unfortunately, all of her story and every single thing she complained about is stuff that hundreds and hundreds of local and thousands and hundreds of thousands of nurses everywhere are facing. It's what it is to be a nurse. And so,
Yeah.
her story didn't hold water to me. And I had, I'm not saying I don't understand. I'm just saying that the way she did it, I thought was very poor and looked really bad for her. And I also have issues with just I don't know. What's really interesting is she quit. Like, basically what it is at our hospital is that certain floors were designated as COVID floors, and she was working on a non-COVID floor. And one of the things I asked was, all right, what if her floor became a COVID floor? What would you do? And since she quit, her floor has become a COVID floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now every coworker she had is doing nothing but COVID patients all day, every day. And if she worked there, that would have been her responsibility. I'm sure she would have quit then too. But, you know, she just doesn't hold water that much. And so I don't know, but I appreciate you saying what you said about my podcast. I didn't really want to kill her. Unfortunately, I think she killed herself. Like, when this is all over, I'm sure she's going to want to go back to nursing and stuff like that. And when you post something on Facebook like that, it never goes away, right? So many employers are doing like Facebook searches now when you apply for a job. And I
Yeah.
guarantee you that if she applies for a nursing job and anyone sees that video, they're not going to hire her, because basically what she did is she went on the video and said, I'm being asked to do what my job is. I'm refusing my assignment. I'm abandoning patients. I'm abandoning my team. I'm not doing what my job is. And anyone who sees that's not going to hire her, right? No way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the whole situation was unfortunate, but I think we all should just be really. I mean, and it's not just nurses, right? It's the people that work at Publix too, and it's the people that are delivering food and delivering the packages, and the people that are doing all of these things that put themselves at increased personal risk to make sure that the rest of us get what we need, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we're very fortunate we have those people in our society, because the number of people that did what she did and turned their back on what that was is so low, right?
Yeah.
Uh, that we're all very fortunate for that. That's all I can really say. I mean, what it is to be a nurse or a doctor or a nurse practitioner or PA or respiratory therapist. I mean, you even have to think about like the EVS staff that clean the rooms and the food service staff that deliver the trays, and all these people just putting themselves at all this high risk and risk of getting sick themselves, bringing it home to their families, but they're doing it because that's what you do. I mean, we're in healthcare. We got to take care of these people. Someone has to take care of them. They die if we
Yeah.
don't, right? So,
Well, and there's that age-long additive of see a need, fill a need. So, if you're needed, sometimes it's your job to do the thing that nobody wants to do.
well, it's unfortunate. I mean, you could be a soldier and you could be a soldier for 20 years and never go to war, right? But you know that at any time you could be called on to defend your country.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, being a nurse isn't much different. Most of the time, everything's going to be routine, and you're going to take care of people, and then there's going to be a pandemic, right? And you got to answer the call. I mean, this is really the thing to me is that this is really what the moment that nurses are for. This, right? It's not the other times. It's not the times when
Right.
everything's run of the mill. This is what the medical profession is for. Is when things really hit the fan, it's us or everybody dies, right? And so,
Right.
I mean, and I know from your military experience, you know that feeling.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So unfortunately for her, I think that was a pretty bad look, but it is what it is. But I think she's going to have some long-term effects from that. But she came to work that day and basically left. So there wasn't another nurse to take her place. So everyone else she worked with had to pick up that shift. Patients got less care. And going forward too, I mean, there's a finite number of nurses. And when people walk away, it's not like there's a whole bunch of people to come and fill the void. So,
Yeah.
it would be like, in my opinion, it's like being something and making your life about something, and then in the time when you were needed the most, turning your back on it.
Yeah.
And it really makes you wonder what she thought being a nurse was going to be, or what
Oh
it
yeah.
was for. You know.
Yeah.
So I got to get off that soapbox. I could be on it all day, but
Well, listen, if you want to
yeah.
hear more about that, please check on Greg's podcast. It's called 5 and 40. His last episode came out like 2 weeks ago because he's kind of negligent on putting out regular podcasts.
I
I'm
am
not
mad.
thinking on it. I'm just saying out loud what we're all thinking.
No,
He knows
it's true.
he knows his own fault. Whatever. It is what it is. He's busy.
Yeah.
He's a ground zero for the COVID-19.
Ooh, whoop-de-doo. Hey, it is
Could be
funny.
like those guys out there who say they're going to do one and never do one.
Well, I
I,
will say
I
that
didn't say Dr. West. You were thinking it, but I didn't say it.
yeah. I will say that some of it has to do with kind of what's going on here, but I could be doing
Oh yeah.
more. Yeah, and it is interesting. I do have people I work with who tell me that there's people that really listen to my podcast. So I have an audience. I just need to get some more content out there. So
Well, listen, this Zencaster thing that I found,
yeah.
this is something that I found from a guy here in Florence who has a podcast. Shout out to DJ Blaze radio station podcast. He's been around since 2011, and he told me, I work with him, as a matter of fact. He told me, he's like, I use Zencaster, I record it, and then I transfer the files over to Audacity. He said, use GarageBand. I said, yeah. He goes, just transfer them over to GarageBand. You can control the volumes. You can just publish it from there. You can have your own intros and stuff like that. He goes, it's really simple. He goes, and if you delete the files after you transfer them over, you don't have to pay for the monthly fee to use Zencaster. He goes, it's free. And I was like, well, cool. So that's what I've been doing. And he's like, if you find somebody with a microphone, it sounds like they're right there in the room with you. And so this is like the third or fourth one I've done like this, and it's pretty simple. I'd like to do one on yours, to do some
Yeah,
kind of subject
sure.
matter or something.
Well, what do you do? Are you not publishing through Anchor anymore, or are
No, I'm
you?
publishing through Anchor, but like I run this through GarageBand. Then I can like set the volume levels how I want them.
Mm-hmm.
Put my intro at the beginning, and then I just select the file. I like share it. I export file and share it as an MP3 file, and then I grab it and put it into Anchor, and then it uploads pretty easy, pretty seamlessly.
Oh, okay. So you can record on this and then just move it to Anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Cool.
I move this to GarageBand and then convert it to MP3 file and then move it to Anchor. Yeah.
Well, listen. We'll do. I mean, we can do We'll do an episode of 5 and 40 with you on. I've had one guest before, and I thought the one guest one we did went pretty good. What I try to do
I can actually do it through the app if you'd prefer to do it that way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I mean, I think that the thing is when I have a guest on, I try to get them to kind of pick the 5 and 40 topics, and then we talk
Yeah.
about them. And so,
Sure.
yeah, I'd like to have you on. That'd be fun.
Okay.
So now we have all this good technology and stuff to do it with, right?
And I'm not working till Monday, so I have time.
All right. Well, let's do it this week. We'll do it.
Okay.
Think about. I'll send you a text message because my categories for my 5 and 40 are super broad. Like I try to make them broad. So yeah.
Did you eventually finish watching the Tom Segura Ball Hog special on Netflix?
I did not. I haven't finished it yet.
Oh.
I gotta be honest. I need to do that too. Yeah. Need to do that too. Yeah.
I think it's the funniest thing I've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I was really enjoying it up until the point where I was forced to turn it off.
Yeah. It gets much better.
Yeah. Wow.
The Wu-Tang joke, you're gonna literally have to like walk out of the room and laugh because it is that funny.
So I heard the Wu-Tang joke. I don't know. I at least watched. enough to see the Wu-Tang joke, so I did see the Wu-Tang joke, and
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was very hilarious. It was good stuff.
9 is a lot. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. It's like the whole clan, really?
I shouldn't have ate breakfast.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff.
Listen, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Tom Segura's Ball Hog, go watch
Right.
it.
Yeah.
If you're sensitive, don't watch it. If
Yeah.
you're not sensitive and you're jaded like us, you're gonna really enjoy it.
For the love of God, if you're sensitive, don't watch it. Like, he's
Oh yeah,
gonna say
yeah.
really terrible things about your mom, and then he's gonna talk about your grandmother. Don't watch it. If you can't take that, don't watch it.
Yeah, but
Really, really.
it's so funny.
Oh my
I
God.
watched Chris D'Elia special today. He's one of their buddies. He came out with a special today or yesterday actually, and I gotta say, I didn't. It wasn't me. It wasn't for me.
Like it. Yeah, I gotcha.
I mean, comedy's subjective. Either you're on it or you're not. And he doesn't hit my wheelhouse of things that I think are funny.
Hey, listen, buddy. I'm sorry to cut you off here, but I am gonna have to cut it because I gotta go eat.
I get it.
And spend some time with the wife because it's almost.
Well, I appreciate you taking this time with me. Tell Lane I said hey.
I will tell Dolores hi. And hey, man, thanks for having me on the cast. And we'll do one on mine. I appreciate that. That'd be fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Please check out the website, www.stuffiheard.com, for more gear and information and podcast links and all that fun stuff. And that's it.
Oh, let me do it. Cue the cow.